Welcome back to the Blazor Server in-depth course. In this lesson, we're going to be wrapping up this section by going over our homework and reviewing what we've learned. So this section was all about forms, from basic forms to advanced forms, validating forms, and even kind of that bonus of uploading files to forms. Okay, so all of this was really talking about how to get data from the user in a way that's safe. So let's go over our homework and what the homework was, and then see how we can do that in our homework response. So the homework was to create a Blazor site with a milkshake ordering form that has the following: a drop-down for the kind of milkshake, a drop-down for the size of milkshake, the name for the order, the quantity for the order, and a checkbox for adding whipped cream. So that's our order for this homework. So let's create this form and make sure that it passes all the validation as well. Let's go to Visual Studio. We'll create a new project, a Blazor app. We'll call this Blazor app and section 06 homework. We'll make sure all the settings are correct. They are. We'll hit create. And then once we've created, what we'll do is we're going to start by creating our model. So, new folder, models, and then in here we'll create a class. In this class will be our milkshake order model. Okay, and in here what we're going to need is a few properties. So let's just start with the properties first. So we're going to need the, let's do a string, and let's say type of milkshake. Now you could do an int, but I think that if we're creating a milkshake ordering system, this is going to the person making the milkshake. So I think showing the string is fine. I don't think we have to do any kind of translation there from it to an integer. So I think the string is fine. And then we have another string, and this will be the size of milkshake. There we go. And then we also have a string for order name. And we have an int for quantity. And finally, we have a bool for add whipped cream. All right, so there's our properties first. Now let's figure out what click, select a type, and they just use that as their selection, which usually has a value of an empty string. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say min length has to be at least 1 character long, and if they don't select one, you need to select a type of milkshake. Okay? Oops. I need to have error message equals. There we go. And we'll do the same thing for size of milkshake. So let's do milkshake size. All right. And then for order name, we need to do it again, but this time we should have a minimum length of, let's say, at least 3. You need to give us a name for your order. Now, you may say, well, maybe you should have 2. I think we can say 3 is fine. But if you decide that for your forms, 3 is too long, or we need to have 2, that's fine. If you decide we want more than that, that's fine as well. Just note what your audience is. So for example, me, I might say Tim. Well, Tim is only 3 characters. Whereas if it was a shorter name than that, then maybe you'd want to have 2 characters. Okay, so you don't want to tell a person your name is invalid, but think that one through. And if you want to have, and I think probably I'm going to go with 2, just because there are 2-letter names. So I'm going to stick with that. I wouldn't go shorter than that because that's an initial. Okay, so if you have a name shorter than 2 letters, then make one up. Okay, that's what we'll have to do for this system. It's a limitation you have to put in somewhere. You have to draw a line somewhere. Okay, so we're going to now put a range on this quantity. So in order to order something, you have to have at least 1, right? So let's say our range is going to be 1 as the minimum, and then the maximum, we should probably have an upper limit. You can't order more than 10 milkshakes. So let's give that an error message to explain that. We limit the number of milkshakes per customer to a maximum of 10. Or, you know what, because it might go below the range. So let's say, please give us a number between 1 and 10. Okay, that way you're very clear as to what the range is. And then add whipped cream. We want to not do anything here because there's nothing to do. I mean, it's already false. And if they choose to check the box, that's up to them. But we're not going to force everyone to have whipped cream. That'd be pretty horrible. So now we have our model in place. Let's create a couple more pieces of data. And I think we're going to do this in the data folder. Now, with the weather forecast service, this is kind of like an example of how you would do a service. And this is simulating calling a real service. Now it's just doing task from a result, which means it's basically creating a list and sending it right away. So even though it's async, it's not helping us to be async. However, we're not going to worry about simulating async when we don't need it. But we are going to create a data service. So we'll create a class, and we'll call this sample data service. And we'll have 2 public methods here. Public list of string, and this is going to be get milkshake types. And then we'll have another one, public list of string. And this is get milkshake sizes. Okay, so we're not going to simulate the async here. What we're going to do is just return new list of string, and then we'll have our milkshake types here. So the type is chocolate, vanilla, peanut butter, the best milkshake out there. Maybe mixed with peanut butter or chocolate though. And strawberry. Okay. So that's our get milkshake types. And then we're going to have a get milkshake sizes. Return new list of string. This is just simulating what a database will be doing. Okay. So we have small, medium, large, extra large. Because I'm American. We love everything extra large. All right, so this is our very, very simple data access layer. It's just asking for and getting back a list of string. Okay, we're not even putting IDs next to this. We're just going to use this value. All right, so now we have our data. Now we have our model. Let's create our page. So we'll create a new page. Raise a component. This as well should be becoming very familiar to you. Being able to do pages and models and hooking it all up, adding a new thing to the navigation. Those should be pretty common by now if you've been following along. And that's the benefit of doing this over and over and over again in this practice, because it becomes familiar. And so since these are the most common tasks, they should be the most familiar to you. So this practice is great for you. All right, so we're going to create our milkshake order sheet. That sounds good. And I'm probably going to be hungry by the time I'm done this. Milkshake order sheet. And what we're going to do here, we need to add our import statement. At using Blazor app.models. There we go. And I also need to give this a page directive. Milkshake order sheet. All right. And I might as well, while I'm thinking about it, because I will forget otherwise, go to the nav menu, add a new navigation here for milkshake order sheet. And we'll say order milkshake. And for the icon, I'm fairly certain they do not have an icon for milkshakes. So let's just think about something, I don't know. Magnifying glass. Sure, why not? So now we have our navigation set up. So let's create our form. Let's start by having our model to work from. So private, and this is a milkshake order model. Let's call it order equals new. Don't forget to do that, initialize it. And then up here we can create our edit form. And then inside here I'll say model equal to order. All right, the order doesn't matter here particularly, but let's go in order of what the form asked for. So we're going to create a input select, and this input select will have a bind value of order dot, and this is the kind of milkshake. So we have size and type of milkshake. There we go, type of milkshake. And then we need to have our options. So we'll have our option that's going to have a value of empty string, and it's going to say please select a milkshake type. Okay. Now we need to add our milkshake types in just a minute, but before we do, let's wrap this just to give it a little bit of, let's put in a paragraph tag, and we'll have our label for it. So label, and we'll say that this is the type of milkshake, like so, and then we'll have our input select. That way we have some separation between the fields and we're labeling our fields. Not the prettiest look here, but it works. All right, so we need to have our list of milkshakes. Where does that come from? Well, we need to have that in our private list of string that's going to be milkshake types. Okay, and we need to have our private list of string that's going to be milkshake sizes. All right. And then what we'll do is our constructor, we're going to call out to that sample data service, which we can put in dependency injection. Let's do that just to make sure we kind of keep our skills up there. So let's go to startup and go to services. We don't have an interface for this yet, Let's create one. We're going to say milkshake types equals data service dot, and of course it's not going to give me anything because it's not finding that. Let's find out why. Let's build this. Actually, let's rebuild it. It's not finding the iSample data service. Let's go over here and find out why. I'm going through all three, and all three can't figure out why. Let's close out the milkshake order service. Let's verify that in fact it is in the imports. The models is, but data is not. At using Blazor app.data. So it's my bad, not the compiler's problem. Okay, so now we have that data service dot, this is types, and then milkshake sizes equals data service dot get milkshake sizes. All right, so now those two are loaded. Therefore, we can do a for each here. A for each, we can say T on milkshake types. And for each one of these, we can create this option here where we'll say the value is going to be T and the text here. Okay? And the reason why is it's just a string. It's not an object. We'll put in both the value and what's displayed. And that's all there is for the first dropdown. I'm going to copy that and paste it. And this is the size of milkshake. And we can do a Control J here to change to size of milkshake. And we can say size here. And then we can do an S for size. And then we can do a Control J here to do milkshake sizes. Okay, so there's the sizes of our milkshake. And now I'm going to copy and paste this again, but this time I'm going to take out the input select. Let's get rid of that. This is going to be the name for order. And it will be an input text. And so this input text is going to have a bind value equal to, and it's going to be the order dot order name. We need another value here, so I'll copy this and paste this, and this is going to be the quantity. So we'll say order quantity, and this instead of input text, we'll do Control J here and say input number, and it's going to bind on the quantity, and then we'll paste in again, and this is going to be for add whipped cream. And this is going to be an input checkbox. And the bind value is going to be on the order add whipped cream. There we go. So there's our checkbox. Now we need to add a button. The very bottom will add a button with a class equal to btn and btn dash, how about outline primary? And the type is going to be equal to submit. And we'll say submit order. Okay, we're not quite done yet because we didn't at the very top add one thing to our edit form, which is we need to have the data annotation validator and we need to have the validation summary. We should also do something with this order. So let's have a on valid submit equal to handle valid submit, which we do not have this method yet. So let's come down here and create that method. So we'll say private void handle valid submit. And then in here, we will do some kind of work. Maybe what we'll do is we will have a, you know what, let's do this. Let's make it interesting. So we'll have a bool show order form equal to true. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this out. If show order form and paste it in. Else, nope, not even else. Then we'll have a string, and this is order result, empty string. Let's actually leave it as nothing. And we'll do the if is not equal to null. So if order result is not equal to null, then we're going to display in H4 tag the order result. Okay, so if the show order form is true, show the order form, otherwise hide it. And if this order result is not null, then show the order result. That way, what we can do is we can say show order form equals false, and then order result equals your order for, actually, I'll make this string interpolation. Oops. There we go. Your order for, and we'll say order.quantity, and then we'll have space, and then we'll have order.size of milkshake, and then we'll have the type, so order.type of milkshake. I know it's just going to scroll the page, and that's okay. Your order for 2 large peanut butter milkshakes has been placed. Okay, so your order for this many, this size, this type of milkshakes has been placed. I think that's good. We could say, you know, your name is Tim and it has whipped cream or not. I think that's good enough to show us what's going on. All right, so let's launch this. Make sure it's working. So we have order milkshake, type of milkshake. You know what, I'm going to skip that. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to hit submit. The type of milkshake field required, the size of milkshake field required, the order name field is required. Please give us a number between 1 and 10. All right, so I want to have 2 milkshakes I want to have peanut butter milkshake, of course. Size extra large, of course. Name for the order, Tim. And I am going to skip the whipped cream and submit order. Your order for 2 extra large peanut butter milkshakes has been placed. Okay, so there's our order form. It's working, it's validating, it is a little complex, it's doing a couple different things. It's all done. Okay, so that's how I would tackle the homework. Hopefully you got something similar. I try to make it not too overly difficult here, but just know that's how I would do it. All right. If you have any questions, think it through. Look back at the previous videos. They'll walk you through it. Give it a refresh in your mind, because sometimes you look at things when you're actually trying to do it and you go, man, what was that again? Go back and watch it again, refresh your mind, and then do it. That way you get that experience, that hands-on experience, and it really gets stuck in your brain. Okay? Try it. Push through, figure it out, and get it working. Okay? That's it for this section. When you're ready, come on back for the next section where we'll start diving into authentication and how to make sure that only the permitted users can do permitted actions.